Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, distinguished Senator Monde Kupeolu Apaku Rescue. Very well ably represented by the Commissioner of Information, who, by the way, your height and the height of the government is almost the same. And as your name suggests, equity, you are committed to equity, fairness, and justice. The chairman of this occasion, who has traveled all the way from Delta State, and like he said, and I was proud that though he's from Delta, he was baked in Benin through Univest. So congratulations on what you are doing in Delta State, and congratulations on what we did together 2 days ago. That some people are still crying. And may this union rekindle the shared vision of our grandfathers and even great-grandfathers who voted for the creation of Midwest, which was later named Bendel. We are the only one in history who democratically voted to stay together. May that spirit continue to bond the people of Edo and Delta together for the good of our people. I convey my very best wishes to His Excellency, the performing governor of Delta State. The managing director of ITV, a comrade in his own right, and who chose white to show the purity of his heart. And I was touched when, as the CEO of ITV, you recognize that before you joined ITV, there were people who started the journey, and you invited them here for the competition. That for me speaks volumes about who you are. May the state continue to grow and prosper by your leadership. And through you, let me appreciate all the members of the board, management of ITV. I think you will agree that before we proceed to discuss about Nigeria, we have to acknowledge that we are here because somebody had the audacity to dream big and to act even bigger at a time when many people didn't believe certain things were possible. And as I listened to the fact that ITV was came into existence in 1997, and as we saw from the video clip, it was established under a military dictatorship. And yet you had the guts, the founder had the guts to say that he was going to set up an independent television. Independent of who? So independent of who? He had the courage to say we will be independent of a military government. So NTA can have 60 million viewers, 30 million viewers, and even when those people have its EBS, but the Isama of Benin Kingdom, Sir Gabriel Benedio, had the audacity to say we will be independent of the state, of a military government, whether in Benin or in Abuja. I think we should give it a round of applause. There are faces that are almost synonymous with ITV. Every time I watch you when I was here at Tusadepe Avenue, I see Okusu either accusing me or praising me or acknowledging. And I apologize that I came a little late today because I forgot that I was invited by people who stick to time. If the news is 7:30 p.m., you will do well to rush home to watch the news, or you will miss the news. The news will wait for you. But I think that memory failed me, and I thought it's like the Nigeria stuff. And as you can see, I'm totally ashamed for coming late. But thank you for finding an excuse to, like an airline, you said, due to technical reasons. And those technicality arose from my driver not knowing his way. Let me also find an excuse. The truth is, it was all my fault. Let me appreciate all those who are here. We have a good number of, virtually all the sectors are covered, including security, the academia, men and women of God, etc., etc. So everybody is here. And I think we are really, first and foremost, celebrating the vision of a man who has the credit. While the rest of us are sleeping and dreaming, he always sees what we can see. Beside the ITV, then you had the radio. And there is this program on the radio that is really talking about Nigeria. It services the appetite of the two people every morning. The man around town. Although I think, given that we all agree now that men and women are the same, in fact, women can do more than men sometimes. Maybe it should no longer be man around town, it should be the person around town. Because you know, that program is when we are called by a woman. So, let me pass through you, MD and management, my personal appreciation, respect for the vision and courage of the founder of ITV. I was a small boy in Kaduna, still small but not a boy anymore, because my heart remains the same despite everything. I used to hear of Ibenidio when I was working in a factory in Kaduna, that he has what they call open kitchen. People come and just eat. And I'm like, how does he feed everyone? And the doors are open, whether on Sundays or one day in a week or something like that. But I wasn't able to benefit from those because what it cost me to go from Kaduna to Benin would be more than a meal. But let me also say that my family appreciated his initiative in private education, so that my son wanted, insisted that we attend the Benedict Secondary School. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. I wish I had the number of my dear friend, Lucky Benedict there, maybe, just maybe. And that is me to, when I talk about why we must appreciate Isama, is that the whole idea that a man can own a private university, even for a state government, was not considered quite easy. But today I have met several men and women who proudly tell me that they are product of Ibenidio University. When Coca-Cola was dominating our environment, we had a Nigerian, the president of Isama, who said we can create Okada Dry. Give it a Nigerian country, a Nigerian name. We can go on and on and on. Just to say that the founder of this station is someone who, when we are sleeping, he keep thinking. Where we don't see opportunity, he see highway to do something that is so common that others will grow up to copy, including the idea of a private airline. When Nigeria Airways couldn't make it out, or he was competing, and it made it possible for many of us to commute from Lagos to Benin. So I think in every generation, God sends someone who can see what other people cannot see. While others are snoring, he is awake, thinking through, looking at the environment and see where opportunity exists. May the good Lord continue to bless him, grant him good health, and use him to deliver more and more progress to the people of Nigeria. and to contribute, to show the younger ones that if anything can be done by anyone, anywhere in the world, the Edo man can do it. So, thank you. So what I would rather do, I inform the MD, I can't give a lecture, but I can provoke a conversation. Whether that conversation starts here or it goes beyond the wall of this center, so be it. I don't need to be right, because even by nature, I am a leftist. You can say I use my left to go on my phone. And when I was going to here, when I go out, people don't know that I'm a leftist. When I use my left to move people forward to follow, they say, Oshiomhole get juju for your left hand. So we'll have a conversation about our country, and hopefully we'll continue with the conversation hereafter. One of the things I learned early in life when I went to school is that I should never be intimidated by experts, because everything and anything can be questioned. And therefore, I am convinced that every issue can be interrogated. Even hard science like medicine. In the morning they tell you that you need red meat to improve your height. If you try to understand why I am the way I am, it's very difficult in my time to have meat and to have egg, to have milk. But now we grow up, we are told that take meat now, it's no good, and so on and so forth. So that end of the day, we never win. But just shows that there is no absolute truth in any matter. The position we take on issues are informed by our own biases, whether we are conscious of it or not. And those biases are shaped by our individual life experiences, or sometimes by the company we keep. So what I will say today reflects my own convictions. I don't have to be right in another man's school. So I will start by saying Nigeria is in progress, it's work in progress. There are people who have questioned, is there a nation? Or some who say there was a nation. My answer is, we have a flourishing nation. I insist on the word flourishing nation, because I've had the opportunity to travel around the world. I haven't found any country that doesn't face specific challenges at different points in time. And even in the days of communism and capitalism, we're able to have access to certain literature that seek to understand and amplify the imperfections in capitalism. There's an economic system in which more or less we go through cycles of boom and bust. It's not perfect. And those who were doing combined economy in the socialist world, where everybody is supposed to be equal, we are taught that sometimes the Communist Party leaders have privileges, such as having champagne, which only can drink democratically on behalf of the followers who cannot take it. So every system has its own guide, etc. I believe that having fought a civil war, which for historians, they will agree that there are many countries, powerful nations, who were happy to see Nigeria divided, and they took sides. But God, in His infinite powers and mercy, help us to overcome that needless war where we took us against ourselves, to come back under the policy of go on with one Nigeria. And I think, regardless of what anybody may say, we have made some progress as a nation. But maybe the progress would have been faster, we would have done more, but there can be no question that a couple of things have changed, and a couple of things will continue to change. There are other things arising from the fact that more and more people are coming in, and the arable land is getting smaller as a result of forces external to Nigeria. And yet, we must make it. I will start by looking at where we are now. I think Nigerians are unanimous, particularly people of my age and people who are a bit younger. But democracy is not just a means to an end, it is an end in itself. The fact that you have the power, you have the right to complain, to criticize, and go home and sleep, to abuse the president of Nigeria and you go home and sleep. Once upon a time, we had laws of that dictatorship that says if you teach what you are not paid to teach, you can be deported, and lecturers will be deported for teaching what they are not paid to teach. Today you can choose to say anything in the university environment or outside. The more you abuse the government, the more people are likely to come for you. The vice president can decamp while retaining the position of the vice president to an opposition political party and retain his position as vice president. The Supreme Court pronounced on that. Why did he decamp? Because he wanted to challenge the then president so that he will become president. He wouldn't have patience to wait for just another 4 years. And at that time, I was the official opposition as the president of Nigeria Labour Congress. He then went to Lagos to Bodilon to seek admission to another party called Action Congress and to become the presidential candidate of that party to contest against his own boss, and he lost. This same person who is louder in criticizing what has happened in Delta just before yesterday and a few other things that happened elsewhere, this same person, whether he decamp or defected back to PDP, and again beat for power. Again he lost. Then he returned. He again decamped back to APC. The kind of money they spend flying delegates from all over the country to Lagos. And he ran for primaries against President Buhari. And he lost as APC aspirant. And of course, like a Rolling Stone, he went back to PDP again to contest. This time against Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he lost. You know, when I was growing up, this new woman called a Rolling Stone that gathers room on no boss. So people who set this example at the highest level, the younger ones who don't know this history, we see them denouncing a man who has never, ever, before 2 days ago, decamped from his own political party. He has been consistent. Just one movement, every other thing is forgotten. I want to start from there. Because when you watch the news, you can see some TV hosts crying because they can't conceal their own biases. They have forgotten that once upon a time we had a president who was rejected by his own people in the Southwest. And this president, he tried to force, to coerce people into his party, appointed the chairman of the leading opposition, NDMPP, I think what was it, to become his special advisor and collapse him. I mean, we can go on and on and on. They wanted to rewrite our constitution so that they can take us to Zimbabwe, where a president can be elected or re-elected or reappointed until he becomes completely senile. And they Nigerian people, including television, helped to terminate that ambition. Even they are now special advisors on democracy. But once they are not in, the system will be brought down. Once upon a time, these same people, a great friend of mine who was a governor when I was a governor, I invited him here to commission some of our red roof schools when we tried to reinvent education, which has otherwise been privatized indirectly. We're both governors. We can look at the book in terms of what, in percentage terms, what we invested in education, and compared to what they invested in education in Anambra State. Look, did I mention the state now? Yeah, in one state. And they were APGA, taking advantage of Ojukwu's immense popularity, arising from some common courage to fight for what he believed in the right of the people. And he became a governor. But for the fact that some of our media, the memory is not as deep, I do remember him saying, after governorship, he is going to return to banking system. But who was the bank when he was governor anyway? Who owns the bank? Who made the profit? But the immediate issue for me, discussing data and democracy, and those who argue that our democracy is collapsing into one-party state, is that we had a guy who came in as governor on APGA platform. Once he was done with the cock, Kokoroko, he went straight to PDP. He ran as vice president. He lost. Not in APGA, now in PDP. He defected, that was normal. He ran with the other regular defector. Both of them lost. In 2011. By 2019, he divorced, went and took over our own party that God used me to register, the Labour Party, and became the presidential candidate. From APGA to PDP to Labour. All of these are okay. But when a man who has never decamped in history, whether the current governor of Delta or his immediate predecessor, who have remained consistent, when they then decided that this umbrella is now leaking, rains are coming, Delta people should not be exposed to weather, let us move them to APC and together use the broom to sweep away all of those imperfections in the system so that Delta can benefit from federal presence more and more. Then suddenly that becomes a crime. So what I'm taking you through this is that when you follow the sponsor social media, they don't play up the history of those who are talking. But I have met with all of these people, whether as a worker, as a labor leader, as a governor, as a party chairman, and now as a senator. I think we must insist as a people that there are no quick fix solutions to democratic challenges. Like it has been acknowledged, it's not the easiest form, but it is just that it is the best. People like our chairman, Equity, a couple of you who were university students during the military days, you know how many times students were shot for protesting over basic issues. Today we have problems. If there are no problems, we will seek solutions. But I believe that our current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, cannot be accused of using the instrument of state to coerce anybody. If anything, I have seen him, or like his predecessor, the first president, 1999-2007, I see President Tinubu going to a PDP state or a Labour Party-led state government and acknowledging that he is working. Not that the person is in APC. I have not seen him using EFCC to arrest House of Assembly members for refusing to impeach anybody he doesn't want. Now, why I have to spend some time on this is that younger people who, or even not so young, have so many things on your head that even an armed robber who has come to remove your furniture at night can come in the afternoon to say, oh, sorry, you are sitting on the floor. This country, with all you have done, you are on the floor. Who removed your furniture? The same armed robber. But then you are so confused that for a moment, he appeared to you to be a genuine sympathizer. That is why it's good that we just speak to some of this. And I'm just going to stop in there. But there is something that I think the media, because we are celebrating the 28th anniversary of independent television, ITV. When I was national chairman, here in Benin, a man called Obe, I believe, from Edo Central. You know, Obe in our language, in our dialect, in English means I don't do bad. Obe. He was not a commissioner. He was not a speaker. He was not a member of House of Assembly, but he was a strong PDP supporter. And he came to join others to decamp to APC. And as chairman, we welcomed him and I said, now that you have joined us in APC, leaving people, deceiving people, you will live up to your father's name, which is Obe. You will stop doing bad. And then the media guys who are committed to PDP mischievously twisted that statement to say, Oshiomhole says, once you join the PC, all your sins are forgiven. I have issued statement to deny it. They do not have the proof. I've asked them to produce the video clip where I said so. And I've explained to those who choose not to listen that Obe was not anybody who did anything wrong. But his name is that he would do wrong. But he was in a party that is associated with wrongdoing. A party that at a point decided to change his name. For those of us who may have forgotten, PDP wanted to change their name by 2016 after they had lost out of power. But even this week, yesterday or the day before, I saw them asking my dear friend Dr. Okowa, who by any standard is more knowledgeable, more informed, more educated than those that are getting him, who also talk as if they said don't have impact. Even those who cannot obey traffic laws, that they will shout and they will call the government to deal with a poor traffic road safety officer in Lagos. If they were saying, did Oshiomhole promise you that if you join the PC, you will not be persecuted? Is that why you join? Can you see how mischievous? Even people who parrot that they have PhD, how they can wallow in lies and lies and lies. And when they keep recycling it, those watching, whether home or abroad, because every news now is global, they then force people to adopt a false narrative. So maybe on the occasion of celebrating the ITV birthday, they help me. Because you are from, though you understand the meaning of ill or bad, I will not do bad. And then the guy left PDP to come and join APC. And I say, now that you have joined APC, you will live up to your father's name. How does that, and how can that translate to if you join APC, all your sins are forgiven? Please help me to remind those mischief makers who keep trying to twist this fact. Of Edo State House of Assembly, his name is Blessing. And because you are speaker, you can't say why did you come there, because you have to go and join the morning session before you come. And also I'll come with you. So the question of democracy is that all like previous Bola Tinubu has not used the instrument of state to coerce or to intimidate or to blackmail anyone to leave where he is to join. Instead, he relied on what we call the power of example. The power of example. And because more are likely to leave, because rains are coming, and those who read weather have told us to be careful that the rains are going to be very heavy. Every wise man will leave an umbrella that is torn beyond repair, and we can see, so that together we can rebuild the country. I believe we must also acknowledge, having run the election here and I was rigged out and I fought through the court, that INEC has improved significantly. Because in 2007, when I was a candidate, so young men were killed at Oba Primary School. And we never forget that anymore. What was their crime? Like the chairman said, they too wanted to vote for me. And they would let them vote for you. And somebody opened fire and they were killed. They have democracy. And I pray that God will bless them in heaven and help to provide for their parents. Today, the truth is, we face some huge economic challenges. And typically, when you face hardship, you are open to all kinds of manipulations by people who want to cash on the fact of your challenges, to pose as if someone is responsible and that only they will fix it. But we must trace, how did we get to where we are? ITV, you are one of the best, you have one of the best archives. Play back. Today we have power problem. But who plugged Nigeria into this darkness? We are not necessarily going to engage in blame game, or anyone who doesn't know his past can't appreciate where he is, let alone figure out where he's going. We had the Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. On this occasion, he spoke the truth like a Catholic priest when he said, and I'm sure you have it in your archive, that his boss, he tried to separate himself from his president. But we know that in the system that we run, no ticket is valid for a president or for a governor if you don't have a deputy. So there is principle of collective responsibility. He said that President Obasanjo, I didn't want to mention him, but somebody just reminded me among the professors that when you write, when you quote, you must reference. Otherwise, you are accused of plagiarism. So I'm making reference a footnote to explain the source of the information. The lecturer just minted that to me and I saw it. That is why I have to amend. Vice President Atiku Abubakar, pretending as if he was crying, he said, President Obasanjo spent $16 billion to fix Nigeria power. And according to him, all the expenses, all the contracts were fully paid for. The more dollar they pour in, the darker Nigeria became. Vice President Atiku said so for purpose of reference only. I think on that occasion he spoke the truth, and the Bible says that thou shalt not lie. He didn't lie. At least for that, he should be appreciated. But when he now talks as if he wasn't part of that dark hour, then I have a problem. Because to have sustainable economic growth, and development, to create jobs, it cannot be generator driven. And I was happy to hear the chairman reminding us that hard as his governor has tried, huge numbers of people employed by the state government and its agencies, they cannot account for more than 2%. Maybe you cannot be civil servant without power. And ITV, only you and you alone know how much in terms of what to spend on power generation. The total expenditure on power is probably more than the total wage bill of the employees. If you look at, you draw the graph as academics we do, and you know, if you look at your total cost of production, how much goes to power, how much goes to employees, how much goes to subscribers, etc., or licenses, etc. Probably find that power is taking much more than human beings are taking. Because your alternative between power and generator and diesel is not cheap. Generator is not cheap. To maintain the generator is also a problem. So they spent 60 billion. So Nigeria had that money that time. But what he didn't say is that that money they took, in the manner that they took it, future governments have to pay for it. The second that we must say, and I said this on the floor of the National Assembly, is that, and you are all victims in this case, all of us. But I am on record, myself and Uduaga, Governor Uduaga then, that when the PDP government decided to allocate discos to their friends and brothers, was not only in clear breach of the law establishing privatization, it was also designed to compromise the future of the Nigerian economy. To a pharmacy who know nothing about electricity, and his wife managed a failed bank, who became the MD. And that this will rid the economy of our sub-region. We had the goal to say that as city governors, but we didn't have the power to revise the decision of PDP federal government. And to Uduaga's credit, he was a governor under PDP. Of course, I was not a governor under PDP. But we both agree that on any issue we believe we destroy the economy of Delta, Edo, Ekiti, we should have courage to be on record that this is wrong. Today, and even before now, while I was governor here, in going around communities after communities, they tell me that the estimated bill they are giving is more than the total income of a community. I don't know now whether the woman is still the MD, whether the man is still the chairman, because I hear that they have borrowed and taken much more than they ever invested. And I spent those taxpayers' money to buy transformers, to extend electricity to different communities. And once you have done that, these transformers become the property of this discourse. So in trying to understand the origin of this abuse, you must ask the question, who handed over our common will to private people? To be honest, the bill I get is above my salary as a senator. Check my road every other time, my light is disconnected in Benin. I don't live here, but have to put on light at night. No air condition, because I don't stay here. And when the bills come, it's beyond me. So if that is my experience, you who have no voice sometimes, what is your experience? How are you going to grow the economy without power? And that's why I believe that this president, who has already shown enormous courage in taking difficult decisions, that same courage needs to be invested to revoke the privatization the way it was done, to do it properly, and to abolish and criminalize anyone who collects money for power that he did not deliver. That is the irreducible minimum responsibility of the state. And I know in the Senate we have passed this resolution. We have asked the Senate Committee on Power to go through the whole gamut and recommend what we have to do as Parliament to criminalize and send to prison those who steal money from your pocket. Because it's pure stealing. When you collect money for services you have not rendered. One of the most difficult decisions I believe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken through the CBN. Initially I was critical about it, but then I found that in every policy there are plus and minus. By the time Emefiele was pushed out of the bank, he created a monetary policy regime in which if he knows you and you belong to the presidency, the cabal of that time, if he allocated $1 million to you at 350 naira to the dollar, you can go and sell it for 800 naira to the dollar, and you make double profit without a postal address and without employing anybody. And so you have a dual exchange system. One for those who have no connection, the other for those who have power. But President Tinubu, to his credit, decided, unlike some other people will do, that he will not partake in this stealing. So from day one, CBN, whatever you sell to those who have no connection, it is the same thing you will sell even to the villa if they have to buy dollar. So you may not like the exchange rate, but you can't question that it has eliminated free money from the system. And for you to understand the damage done by free money is that people who don't toil to earn spend recklessly and distort the values of young people. There's a young man who was about to have imported a car and put it in a cargo plane to bring it here because he got it through a Methodist exchange rate system. Dual exchange rate, one for the rich, the connected, and the other for the rest of us. The government not only need to sustain what it's already doing. On the fiscal side, we will have to do something different. That is to say, anything that we can produce in Nigeria, including the uniform of the army, the uniform of civil defense, the uniform of the uniform of immigration, the uniform of police, and the uniform worn by all agencies of government should be produced in Nigeria. Our consumption must not be more sophisticated than our capacity to produce. Because talking about myself, if Sir Ahmad Bello did not set up textile factories and insisted that we should not export raw cotton to Manchester, in the 1950s and up to early 1960s, and import process in Nigeria. So British people, if you want to clone Nigerian people, come and locate in Nigeria. That is how all those companies located. And you saw a healthy competition between Sir Ahmadu Bello of the northern region. We saw Asaba Textiles, right, as a response from Midwest. We saw Onitsha General Cotton Mill as a response from the southeast, and then Aba Textile, also in the southeast. We had Ikeja Textiles, one of us response to the southwest, and several other textile factories around Lagos, Kaduna, all over Nigeria. But between now, 2027 and 2032, I want President Tinubu to go down in history as the man who reinvented the things that were destroyed by previous government before he came in. I don't think many of you are too young to remember Machelin. I went there to organize a strike in Port Harcourt because I thought they could pay better wages. And Machelin was getting their raw material from rubber, for which Edo Delta was very well known. Our farmers produce those rubbers, Machelin process them, and they motorize our vehicles. Where is Machelin? It is located. Why? It is located because we subscribe to a new policy which says you can import anything to Nigeria. Where is Dunlop? In Ikeja. Again, I went to Dunlop to organize strike, demanding better wages. Now Dunlop is gone, Machelin is gone, but all your tires and my tires are either Dunlop or Machelin, 80% of them. Can we not insist that Mr. Machelin, you walk away from this house? We're not going to use you. If you want us to use you, return back. Whatever guarantees you need, we provide. That is where those students reading chemical engineering, University of Benin, computer science, mechanical engineering, if these productive industries are not here, where are the chemical engineers going to work? Jobs they don't drop from heaven. They are the result of well thought out industrial policies. Banks will make money, but they will not create jobs. Now with computerization, I think some of the jobs they are doing, they are casual. The real employees of the banks are very few. So, if we are going to deal with, I saw a policeman here, no matter what you do, if more and more people are unemployed, security will remain a huge challenge. So I believe that should be the next phase of President Tinubu's industrial revolution, to return us back and revive the policies. And the good news, the father and the grandfather, the mother and the grandmother of free market, they themselves are leading us, if you ask me, by example. Because America's Trump, or Trump's America, now says America first. America first. Shall we also in unity in this room say Nigeria first? You want to send Machelin in Nigeria, Machelin tires, come to Nigeria. Nigeria first. Toyota, every government house, including when I was here, we buy Toyota as if it's our pure water. Across Nigeria. So, Mr. Toyota, we had the largest market for you. So, Japanese, if you still want to retain this market, come to Nigeria. Because Nigeria first. Otherwise, we will stop importation of Toyota. I mean, if Trump can say we can't afford free trade, who is more Catholic? And I will stop there. See, because my late wife told me I should never use that word that some other people use. But just to say that this time around, the lesson from America is that there is no such thing as world trade. It's fake. Have you heard WTO DG questioning Trump's decision to erect tariff wars of 100, 200%. Have you heard any CNN or CNBC or any cable news reporting anybody at WTO as questioning Trump's decision to put America first and put an end to the forced narration about free trade? Who dares say so? So America first. And now the world is beginning to realize that no, everybody has to look at his own national interest. The IMF, the World Bank, have you heard their voice about the danger to world economy if Trump insists on what he's doing? Because in the first instance, who created them? The IMF, the World Bank, they are institutions that Western nations put in place to compel the rest of the world to adopt the Western value system. Now that Trump is doing what he's doing, can we not also blow our own trumpet? So I think this, for me, not here to lament. I believe that the president we have is known for courage, and that courage has to be extended to a radical industrial policy. And the handshake between the monetary authority and the fiscal authority should be so strong that working together will stabilize the naira and the economy will be back on its feet. Already, no matter what anybody says, I do buy rice, and you do buy rice. Last December, what I paid for a bag of rice, as of today, the price has dropped. It has not dropped enough. It can drop more. And that is why whatever we have to do to encourage farmers to produce more Nigerian made rice, it has to be done. And whatever policy we have to put in place to discourage us from importing rice, it has to be done. But something is changing. Prices are high, but they are getting, it's not, I mean, if you spent 10 naira last week buying a piece of meat and you now spend 10 naira, 9 naira or 8 naira this week buying, 8 naira is still high, but it's still better than the 10 naira of last week. And so if there is sustained pressure, I believe things will improve. So my conclusion therefore is that the president has taken bold decisions that are difficult. If you hear it, I'm sure there are some medical doctors here. But I have a doctor who is a consultant. She tells me that when a man has a prostate problem, and all men must have it, you go with your wife, it's a light night, you are waking your wife up maybe 10 minutes in the night, because you are getting familiar, I mean, you want to visit the loo every other minute. Because the system will no longer hold. You can keep pretending until the day in the presence of your children, you just find your trousers wet. How can you be doing in your 70s, in your 80s, what you were doing when you were 2 months old, 1 month old, wetting your pants? So at that stage, a good urologist will advise you, will put you to sleep, will look into your prostate enlargement. If it's cancerous, you take out the cancerous part, shoot it back, and you can walk on your feet. But not the following day, not the following week, not the following month. It takes time. But when the process heals, you can be back on your feet. So Nigeria is ordered a strong-willed surgeon who has to carry out a surgery arising from some of the terrible decisions, incoherent decisions taken by past governments. I'm sorry to say, including the immediate past, where we printed over 40 trillion, what the economists call ways and means. But I'm not an economist. What they mean is that the bank just print paper money, not deformed by any economic fundamentals, to meet money illusion for those who spend naira. particularly the working class. So you have more volume of naira in your pocket, but you procure fewer and fewer goods, which you call inflation. Now, to overcome that terrible decision taking, President Tinubu has had to first start by providing for those ways and means that were recklessly done or now MFL. So there are no quick fix solutions. They know it. But however, I don't blame anyone who seeks to amplify, particularly if you are in opposition. Your business is to do the soft side. I was watching the British leader of the Conservative interrogating the Labour Party Prime Minister in Britain. And he was saying to, though I don't particularly like the lady, who don't like Nigeria and don't like the person. The woman who said, doesn't even believe in God, so God help her. But I watched her saying, the Labour Party was critical of the policies of the Conservative. Now they are on the driver's seat, and the policies are not delivering overnight solution. So let me conclude by saying that what's important is to be clear about your destination and carve out a clear-cut route of getting there, and let nobody pretend that there is only one way. There is more than one way. As you are back on the journey, you adjust, but keep your eye on destination, and we will get there. Because the paper is not written, and the writing is not in paper, on paper, let me conclude my provocative statement by saying that I believe, and this is a message to our young people, what you see in CNN, BBC, all this international cable, and so on, showing you the sunny side of life is not a complete picture of life outside Nigeria. Nigeria remains the greatest country on earth. For people like me, I will never acquire another passport. And I've told my daughter, I really born her to go and treat people who are sick in America. You got to come back home. And some are coming home, usually late in their 40s. Our young people need to know that in the city of New York, more than 100,000 Americans are absolutely homeless. They sleep in front of public buildings, even during winter. They need to know it. I have watched BBC during when World Trust took over one extreme conservative, and I can see the Englishman who speaks English as a dialect say, I solve trouble. I can't solve, provide for, solve 3 meals a day. Solve 30102. Solve, keep my family alive. What they say in plain English, you can no longer eat 3 square meals a day. There are crises everywhere. And that is why you will find a Nigerian graduate in front of hotel in Dubai, in front of hotel in London, as a bellboy. What are you doing here? I thought they said £10 an hour. And when I multiply by 2,000 naira to the pound, I thought I would be a millionaire. But what did he tell him is the cost of taking a bus or a tube from one place to the other, and the cost of electricity, the cost of basic food is such that he can't even afford to eat decently. He has to go and do this McDonald's fish, what do you call it now, fish and chips. Finally, when we made this comparison, why our younger ones get stuck, is that we do not talk about the purchasing power parity of our national currency. The economists here, we tell you that exchange rate is important, but even more important is the relative purchasing power of a currency. Today at exchange rate, 2,000 naira to 1 British pound. 1 British pound can buy you a Coke of 33 cl in the UK, 1 pound. But 2,000 naira, if you go to Mama Put, you feel overeat. So we want to just reduce the economic debate to exchange rate. What is the purchasing power of our currency? I will submit that today Nigeria naira is grossly undervalued because it can buy more than the American dollar. Many of you have friends in Italy, in UK, in America. Ask them, what is the price of Coca-Cola? 33 centiliter, not 50 centiliter, and convert to naira. So this exchange rate illusion is what is driving our young people to think that if I go and work there, then they end up in a restaurant, they work in 4 or 5 places, sleep 4 hours a day, and in the end, when they finish paying their bills, the credit card is given to you to help you to spend money you have not yet earned. So you bring the card, you flush it, life seems to be good, but you are spending your tomorrow, which you have not yet earned. And lastly, when Bola Tinubu says he's trying to fetch a bucket of water from a dry well, you try that experiment in your own house. I believe things are tough, but it's the way things are tough that you need a tough person to deal with a tough situation so that in the end, the heat of the morning hour will translate to air conditioning in the evening. And for a just governor, let me congratulate him. They say the money shows the day. Governor Monday, without the aid of consultancy, without an MOU to tell you if there's a flyover between Aramat Park, when that traffic will be decongested, and when traffic flows faster, motorists can move faster, and there is socio-economic benefit of not being detained in one location. I think you have to agree, since your money was spent on consultancy, we now have a governor who used common sense to building a flyover without wasting money on briefcase consultants. And I have seen schools being built without sloganary of Edo Best. We have children in the classrooms without school. The last time they built a school was the one I built. The new one that the one more day is building. I appeal to all of us to recognize that with our support, this governor will not talk, but he will speak. And he will deal with all the economic cockroaches. He's already dealing with some of them. He deals with problem of insecurity. It can't be overnight. There are people taking deliberate decisions to make things look as if they were worse now. When I was governor here, General Ademoka was kidnapped. The current chief judge was kidnapped. But when you see some people talking now, they will talk as if everything was safe until Governor Modupe will arrive. That is not true. We must keep reminding ourselves it is right, it is correct to insist that he improve on the security and people eliminate kidnapping and all these killings here and there. But it will not be a distortion of history to suggest that the problem was not already here. But he will fix it. All he needs is our prayers, men of God, all of us to advance, and together Edo will be back. It's like a sleeping, Nigeria is like a sleeping elephant. It's difficult to get the elephant up because of his size. But once he gets up, nobody can stop the elephant from dominating the forest. Nigeria will be back on his feet and all will be well. Thank you.
Let's go,